The way I see things too is I don't sell houses or help people buy houses. I help them create memories.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. As with each episode, our goal is to inspire you through the insight and inspirational stories from fellow real estate insiders. The great thing about this industry is that there really is no one-size-fits-all approach, and there are endless ways to be successful. If you have an awesome story or tips to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We'd love to feature you on an upcoming episode. And now, before we get into today's featured interview, make sure you follow and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. You can find it on everything from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we are there. And also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications when each new episode is uploaded. Today's interview features Daniela Walker, an agent based out of Portland, Oregon. And now just a few years ago, Daniela had just broken into the business and was starting to see great success when she had to put her career on hold. And over the last few months, she has reignited her real estate career. So just kind of starting out, could you tell me a little bit about where you are in the country and your real estate background and your story getting into real estate?
Sure. Yeah. So I am in Portland, Oregon. I'm licensed in Oregon and in Southwest Washington. My real estate career began in 2017. I always loved houses and people. I'm an ex-flight attendant, so people loving part is there. However, I like pretty houses and all of that. So I decided to kind of transition into real estate a little bit. And I began with, straight off the bat, 2 deals. And I was really happy because I was representing a buyer and I was representing a seller too. And I was like, okay, this is a great start. And about a month and a half into it, I was ready to close my 2 deals. I was trying to strategize like what my career should look like and what my next steps are. And I got pregnant with twins. So needless to say, it was very unexpected in terms of twins. Right. And I had to be on bed rest too. It was not really easy pregnancy to begin with. And that kind of put a stop to it. And I decided to stay home because I wanted to focus on that. Being a new mom was stressful, and especially being a mom of 2. And I didn't have family to help me out here. So it was just my husband and I, and we started a new business at that time. So we kind of, it was like everything was happening all at the same time. We started a new business 3 days before I gave birth to the kids. So yes. And in the midst of all of that, I was like, okay, the real estate has to be on the back burner, and I'll get back to it when I can. And when the kids turned 1, I was like, okay, it's ready to start thinking about going back because I really, really liked it. And while I was at home, I got my organs license, and I was like, okay, let me use this time for a little bit of like productive side on the real estate. And I got my organs license, and I just started like about 2 months ago. Wow. Went back to it, and it's been interesting.
Right. So you were chugging along, everything was going good, and then kind of life gets not turned upside down, but just kind of turned around a little bit, and now you have gotten back into real estate when the whole world is kind of turned upside down.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So it has definitely not been the easiest path.
It has not been easy. It's been very interesting though. With the COVID, with the fires here too, it was really interesting driving around, looking at doom and gloom and smelling the smoke and all. And a lot of people were really scared, and a lot of transactions fell apart because of that too. Right. It's been very, very interesting journey.
Right. So now you said you're back into it about 2 months. Like
correct.
Full time? Yeah. Awesome. How's the 2 months been, with what you had previously learned and then to now? I know things are vastly different. So how has that transition been back in?
The transition has been kind of, I'm adjusting as I go. And I I didn't have any habits created from before. I just had a taste of it and then kind of got thrown away. And now I'm kind of getting focused a little bit more on social media. That was I always wanted it to be my center of my business. Kind of, I don't want to go to people to beg for business. I would like the people to come to me, and whoever needs me and likes me to approach me. I'm not that kind of like salesy person that will do cold calls and door knocking and that kind of stuff. It has never been me. I'm not that kind of a pushy person. And I don't know if it is good or bad, but this is just my personality. And yes, so focusing on social media right now is my main goal. I'm a little bit guilty of not doing enough, or at least what I planned in my head to do. Right. So getting slowly into it. But yes, so transitioning to that, I think it's kind of like a natural way of doing things because the whole world is turning inwards now, and it's more like what you create for yourself and putting it out there better than like in more so like doing it for yourself, but for the others than the other way around.
Right. Absolutely. I think that personal branding is super important right now, and making sure that you are accessible in other ways than what it had been in the past.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And as long as, so the way my personal little formula of success is not doing it for your personal gain, but doing it so you can learn from it and share it with others. And that is what's going to bring you something back. As long as you are able and willing to share it with everyone and to just freely give it without expecting anything in return, that's where the gains start happening back.
Right. I think that's a really great mindset to have, because if you are only into it for personal gain, you're almost kind of going into things negatively if you're not getting that return on investment right away.
Exactly. Yes. And I see a lot of agents work that way, and it's working for them. I call it transactional mindset, and it's working for them, but who knows for how long. And those agents who are out there like giving everything they have, I see them succeed way faster and kind of putting the roots there and building the foundation of something bigger. Right.
And then I think, as a new mom and everything like that, having that, knowing that you have the kids there and you want to be part of their lives. So having that good balance, I think, is super important as well.
Yes. So being 2 months into it, I definitely don't have the good balance. I'm really blessed right now that my husband is at home and he's taking care of the kids. And I'm really focusing on building my career. But honestly speaking, the balance is not there right now. I've been working my tail off with everything that's been going on. I just got a listing, and it's my friend's house. So I've been trying to do everything because they don't live in the state and they're moving around. So I was staging it, and I was painting walls and steaming cabinets and all kinds of like at-home work that they should have done, but they didn't. But I'm happy to do it, of course. I wouldn't offer if I wasn't ready to do that. But yes, so the balance is not there yet, but working on it.
Right. Well, and in order to succeed, you always have to be working on something, because if not, you're going to get stagnant with where you're at. So.
Yes. And I guess through just trial and error, try and I'm not afraid to try new things. I'm not afraid to get out of my comfort zone. It's easy for me to make that first step, but that brings me one step closer to realizing what I want through what I don't want.
Right. So how do you, as we're kind of getting closer to the end of this year and moving into next year, what kind of almost like goal planning do you do to set yourself up for, future endeavors?
Right. So I just started my YouTube channel. So I'm going to be focusing on growing that, bringing a little bit more content to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm planning on doing at least one video a week. Focusing on my sphere of influence, getting in touch with those people, and not just for real estate, but just to keep in touch and see how everybody's doing in these stressful times, and elections are coming and people are even freaking like morons. It's going to be more interesting, if anything, I think, in the next few months. But yeah, so that, and just focusing on what is working for me and what I want to find out my niche and what I like to do best. And that's where people usually shine, when you enjoy what you're doing. I don't want to wake up in the morning and think, oh, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. I'd like to get ahead of it and plan it in my head and see how I feel about this. If I feel good, then I'm setting it up myself for success. If I don't feel good, I know this is not for me, and maybe I should try just to make sure that I don't feel good about it. But if the feeling of it is not there, that feeling good is not there, then I would just not pursue calling somebody like FISBOs or expired and stuff like that. Right. I've tried it and it just did not feel good. And especially door knocking. Door knocking was my thing. I decided to just go around this neighborhood I was doing an open house for, and I was like, let me see what it feels like. What is it to just go and knock on somebody that you never met before on their door? So I did, and the turning point for me when this young mom came up to the door with a little baby, probably newborn, like 1 month old. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to do this to people. So I don't want this to be done to me, so I don't want to do it to people. And yeah, that was the end of my door knocking.
I get, you talked about the gut feeling that you have, but what else, how do you kind of eliminate certain things? How do you pinpoint what you want to do and where you want to focus your energy versus the things that maybe that there's success in, but it would be maybe not exactly the path that you want to go? How do you balance that out, and how do you decide, okay, this is something I can discard and this is something I'm going to go after?
So the way I usually do things, the important things in my life, I would like to get ahead of it. I don't want to react to certain situations. I want to create them, and I want to create them the way I want them. Of course, not everything turns exactly the way I want it, because there are other people involved, and just situations don't usually go as planned. They usually turn out better. That's what I like to think. But how I approach something that is important for me is I sit down and write it down. I create this perfect scenario in my head, and I'm like, okay, this is where I want to be in a month or so. This is where I want to be in 2 months. And I just create it step by step with the tiniest little details that I can think of. Who I'm going to talk to, who I'm going to meet. Let's say I created my perfect client avatar. I even named her Janet. So Janet was in her 50s. She is a very well-established woman, and she was looking for investment property. So funny enough, 2 weeks later, that was right when I got back to real estate. 2 weeks later, Janet called me. And she wasn't looking for a property for herself. She was looking for a property for her niece, but Janet called. So it is working as long as like for me, it's like a little like game, just a fun thing to do. And if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, great. I know that something better is coming along. So in a way of like getting ahead of it has worked better for me than just wait and see what happens and just go out there and do something and then expect for something to happen. So then I prepare myself.
Right. I think it's almost that when you're creating the avatar there, it's almost that role playing to where if you know the steps that you would like them to go, but you also know there might be a little hiccup in here that you can adjust to, whereas it's not the whole thing that you're adjusting to. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. And just surrounding yourself too with like-minded people too. It's very important, and not somebody who will put you down, because I know that if I say this to, let's say, an established agent who does not let's say believe in law of attraction, that's what I call it, my little law of attraction game, that they will look at me and they will be like, what are you doing? This is not income generating activity. Go get on your phone and talk to people. But it has been working for me, and I'm really happy with it, because I am creating my own reality, to say.
Right. And I think, that's such a big part of things. And if anything, that's, the last few months with COVID and everything, it has shown us that you do need to take time to make sure that you are personally happy with where you're at.
Absolutely. Because if you're not happy, you're just not going to do it okay. You will do it just to do it, not because you are enjoying doing it. And it shows. I think it really shows. You can always see when somebody's there full on, head and mind and heart fully on there, and somebody who is just doing it for the transaction or for the money, because real estate is a lucrative business. And if you get number of transactions, you will get rich fast.
Right. I think I've talked to a lot of the people I've talked to are very much in that mindset of the more I can help somebody, the better off my real estate career is going to go. So I think it's really cool to see that so many people have that same mindset of I'm not the transactional agent. I'm coming from the place to help, which I think, it all comes back to you.
Yes, absolutely. And the way I see things too is I don't sell houses or help people buy houses. I help them create memories. I help them be happier. I help them just be one step closer to what they want and where they want to be in life.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how they open up to you too, because they're not clients anymore. They're friends.
Right. And I think that statement right there, that they're friends, they aren't clients, is so important, because real estate is such a long game. It's not the one transaction you're taking care of now. It's the 3, 4, 5 down the road, as they stay in the community and move around the community, or have friends that are moving around the community.
Exactly. And for me, especially, this was really hard because I was not born and raised in this country. I did not live here. I moved here in 2014. I did not know anybody except for my husband. And it was really interesting. I was completely out of my comfort zone. No friends, no family, moved to this new place. And what do I do now?
Right.
So just building everything from scratch. It was hard at times, because I really felt like I was just floating in the air. I didn't have my roots. I wasn't grounded enough. But now the roots started growing, and I am enjoying it. Every day I meet such amazing people, and I'm really blessed to have the friends I have and everybody who I'm surrounded with.
Right. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about this. I mean, I think having that kind of a positive outlook on everything is so important to having a successful career, and then life away from the career also, which I think is really important.
For sure. Yeah. In order for you to enjoy what you are doing, you have to be away from it for a little bit in order to start missing it. Because if you're in it 100%, it's just not very healthy. And if anything, I'm a person who likes to be stimulated a lot, and I get bored easily. So if I'm doing the same thing over and over every day, it's just going to get too boring for me and I'm not going to enjoy it anymore. So I think I picked the right career for that.
I think so. Well, you've had some interesting ones if you like to meet people with the flight, traveling around the world and all this. I mean, you've picked the careers to meet people, that's for sure.
Yes.
Well, again, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for having me.
So I really want to thank Daniela for joining me, and I wish her great success as the new year begins. I love her idea of building her ideal client and running through all the possible scenarios that she might encounter. Once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and I'll see you on the next episode.